So if everything turned out all right, we're going to go behind the scenes on that little production just to give you an idea of what's going to a little behind the scenes, because this is so typical that you get up and I get an idea and it's like, it was put there for a reason and I run with it. And so it was like, I want to introduce this thing. The staff meeting a couple days ago, he goes, you got to show that letter. You got to show that letter. And as much as I don't want to, it's going to embarrass her. The deeper meaning just trumps that. And I don't play up on the Trump thing. But it is so important to realize the mindset of a person who thinks another person is going to bring them happiness. And not only that, is that they think God put that person in their life for them. For them. And it's like, no. We do think, once you start realizing how the game is played, and not the game, the way life is played, the game of life, it's all for His glory. And if you pick His team, you're going to do what it takes to play for His team. And that means you got to take a pitch every now and then in the chin. So, anyway, going back, so I got the little idea of how do I introduce this kind of big thing. It's like a song immediately came to mind. Da-da-da. So the Hollies came. And then it's like, oh, I found this old picture. This was from PCI. So that's circa 2000, fall of 2001. And so I had to take a photo for the passport. And I tell you, I look younger now than I do in this thing. Well, it's kind of exaggerated. But I used Grecian formula back then. Look at that now. Anyway, so I found this picture and I thought, okay, I'm just going to put this little thing in pictures just when I want to make it known that you're being watched. And I'm not, don't even say that, oh, I think I'm God and I'm watching you. No. It's people who say, oh, I believe in God, but then they don't believe in God because they don't think that He's everywhere, all the time, everywhere. And to get a beginning sense of it, just watch the movie Matrix, because those people knew what they were talking about. And if it isn't kind of like that, or not exactly like that, conceptually like that, meaning in heaven that they're running Earth, or they're watching Earth, or whatever, then, okay, then you got to start from square one and read Scripture, figure it out from that. But for me, who's I visualize and colors everything and everything else, that movie is a good start. And then read Book of Enoch and combine the two, and there you get reality. Anyway, so this was the shoes from CTL. The introduction was that I was so serious that Jill was going to be the one. God put her there, so I had to do His job and make it work. And the thing is, I just turned into an idiot. And that letter is, I haven't looked at it. I saw it, and it made me cringe because I just didn't stop at 4 pages. Usually it's 3. Then I go, I'll tack on a 4th one unless it's really important. And with Andrew's letter, it turned out to be 7, but it was, I'm blathering on. Here's a person who thinks I went crazy or whatever. With Jill, she knew nothing. So I had to volunteer. And that's all I remember. But it took 10 pages of stupid for me to convey my my situation. But we've got to read it. And Jill, I doubt that you'll ever see this, but if there's a chance you do, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you. I feel sorry for your husband. I really do. Because he's got to think, I mean, when we talked and called, I'm sure you'd mentioned it, and oh my God, it's just too embarrassing. But I just hope he'll, you know. Anyway, so we're going to go, for just quickly, so I had this thing back here, and I just wanted to make it perfect. You know, you got the thing coming up, but when you move it, you get the ghost lines, right? You get those ghost lines. So it's like, no, that's going to ruin it. That's just going to ruin it. So then you got to make the outer platform, and then you got to put where the edges are, and, you know, then the border here for the Screencast-O-Matic, that plays into the whole thing. And there's only one portion in, and I think, well, put it this way, I won't get back an hour and 20 minutes that it took to get through the learning curves. And I thought, oh, before I've got these little cutouts of take 1, take 2, and then up to take 5. And I'm like, well, can't use those anymore unless I modify them. It's like, okay, but it's so exactly the way I am that I want to get it across where when you try to make things perfect for yourself, you will fail. Unless it's in sync with the big guy, with the boss, with God, with Yahweh. And no matter how hard you try, it's not going to work the way you want it. And if by chance it does, it's only because he lets you slide into home plate and not get tagged. And even if you got tagged and video replay didn't catch you, you're doing something that you probably shouldn't. Because your brain's telling you. Unless you've killed that brain, and the brain that you've got just says, no matter what I do, it doesn't stink, it doesn't rot. I mean, it's good as good. So that doesn't need to be expanded on. And now introduce your little Trumpy little ha-ha. So anyway, and I'm not saying he's not a, believer and everything else, but in public, his public persona, yeah, it's funny. And you know what? I kind of can't stand the guy, but I like the guy so much because he does things that I could never do. And not to the extent he does it, but he carries himself as a buffoon most of the time, but so do I. But I try and I'm a buffoon, but don't think I am. I'm like, I gotta be serious. I got this new job. I got pulled out of my first pit in life. My midlife crisis is over. I got a high-paid job. I've got a position. I gotta act the act, man. Phew. So we're not going to zoom in because it is kind of spooky. But all right, hold on. I'm going to do it this way. And never believe me when I say I'm not going to do something. But the blotchy is just because of the scanning image is so tiny. But I don't have these blotches. But I wanted to use this because, one, I've got this tweak out. Hold on. Gotta make sure we do a line-by-line analysis. So, anyway, it is what it is. But yeah. This guy has just been everywhere. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's not the same one. Oh, it's not the same one. Oh, good to know. I don't know what happened to that one. But yeah, that's a different coat. I upgraded sometime. I grew up. I became an adult. Anyway, well, nix that. Yeah. So this is when it's like, get the haircut short, and it's like, oh, God, don't cut any shorter. I'm going to, it started bleeding and stuff. That's as far as it goes. Oh, not kidding. It was just like I try to be serious, try to grow up, try to be, the way I should. Okay, you get the idea. And it's like I built myself up to this person. Not that we're equal, but we're in the same ballpark. We can go to the same football game together, and I know kind of what she knows to carry a conversation and stuff. That makes sense? That no, I'm not not what she deserves by any means, but I'm a person. I'm a person. And I thought, well, I cleaned up the act a little bit and kind of like getting ready. But then Mick came along and things fell apart, and then my head got blown up. And then it was like God did a rewrite. And he said, remember that little person that you got all gaga with? And I think that's what he said at the staff meeting. He wasn't there, and there's a piece of paper on the desk that said, Jill, just think about her. And for whatever reason, I thought it was from God. And I ran with it. So, anyway, let's go see what that nightmare looks like. But before I go, need we be reminded who we're addressing this to? No. But I was wearing this. And my head blew up. And it's like, I have to contact her for some reason. And this is what ugly looks like with 12-point font. Alright, so we just want to verify that it was last modified January 15th, 2008, 3:08:18 p.m. So, and that's when I transferred it to another computer, and then I opened it today for the first time. And even though I put these on, it was very far away, and I just need something to remind me or remind anyone that don't take it all seriously, but take it 100% seriously. Anyway, alright, so we got that cleared. I'm going to save this onto another file so I don't corrupt the other one. So I'm saving this. Okay, so the original is intact. So, yep, and then I just added this because, you know, I don't want to keep doing this, but I get too excited and move things around. So I'll just kind of move this down to... But it's important to, this is the mindset of someone, I've said it 3 times already, but the mindset of someone who believes in God, but yet another person will make them happy. And that person is guessing what God is doing and thinking they know what it is, and they run with it. So, Jill, yes, a voice from the distant past, rather an old voice in a new form of lead skid marks across an engineering pad from about 20 years ago. Frightening. I'm curious as to how you're doing, but that's all said later on in this letter. I came across your name after cleaning out my basement for the 4th time in 3 years, while having to sift through a box of photo memorabilia that was supposed to remain unopened until my deathbed. Ooh. However, as the highest point in the basement flooded, yes, gravity flows uphill in Pentwater. Oh, that's true. Okay, hold on. Alright, I'll try and be a little bit better with the way I bounce around and things, but just backing up just a tad more, maybe I can cut and paste this and throw it in the few minutes ago. Okay, backing up just a hair. Okay, backing up just a hair. So the letter to Jill went out around beginning of January 2008, and kind of the bad period of things. But she was maybe a glimmer of something that could be. This was the back of the house that's being worked on. Now this was that summer before, and I had just finished up a lot of this, had the siding on, and I think all those photos are back in Pentwater, which it sounds like I'm going to go back in June. So hopefully we'll get another fresh stack of photos, kind of show things. But this was the front. But all this was ongoing, so life was full back then. Then it all blew up. Oh, the whole reason for that timeout was to set up what the basement happened, that the letter said that water flows uphill in Pentwater. Well, what happened was, this was the basement, and we had a drain, and it backed up probably 4 times after I put in new flooring, but that's beside the point. Along the perimeter wall, I had all the storage stuff from Chicago, with all the book and CTL stuff for writing material, and all that was relatively dry. When this backed up, this is to come upstairs, furnace back here, washer and dryer. Then over here, this was a 1920s house, and then they had an add-on in the back for a family room area. And these were the little concrete steps that went up into a crawl space, and as the highest point in the basement, you would think, oh, if I put all my boxes of important documents on top of this landing, they should be safe. Well, Mr. Civil Engineer with a master's degree from Michigan, I blame Professor Kaljan and Goel that I would have known this had I... No. Anyway, there's a little pipe, sewer pipe, vent pipe, with a cap on it, but there's a hole, it was open. And that thing, when everything backed up, it backed up and came out there. And I thought this was an abandoned thing. Well, it wasn't. And that's why all these boxes that are on top, the bottom ones got all flooded or soaked. So, that was worth the setup. 20 minutes. Not bad. Not trying to brag or anything, but it's important. Because God found a way to destroy things. Like the marriage license that got eaten by the dogs. Oh, including a telephone. Oh my gosh. Everything happens for a reason. Okay, with all that, we only got through half of a paragraph, but we'll be fine. So yeah, water flows uphill in Pentwater, and I was forced to strain through all the muck. Yes, water doesn't defy laws of physics here. There was an abandoned sewer line. Oh, I wasn't going to do that. Abandoned sewer line at the top of the old basement staircase. I should have read. I was going by memories. Oh, Brian. You guys are just giving me an example every time I don't look 2 sentences ahead. You should see me when I edit these things. I'm putting in comments that I say in 2 or 3 seconds. Oh, God. I am impatient, a tad. Oh, yeah, we won't. Oh, I don't stop. Look at, I'll spend 20 minutes making a little cutesy drawing. But to read a little bit ahead? Oh my God. Anyway, there was an abandoned sewer line at the top of an old basement staircase which overflowed in an area that I stored all my important personal belongings. They never taught us to look out for that stuff in undergraduate studies. Right. All right. Anyway, I didn't mean to write to inform you of my sewer troubles, unless you are interested. Here I'm immediately going, oh, why is this guy calling me out? Well, I'll just tell her about my backed up sewer lines. Then I write it, and then it's like, well, I have to apologize now for writing what I could just delete. Anyway, it's tough being this person, people. I could say that my brain was fried by non-prescribed meds, but nah. Nah, the jury would just toss that. Please disregard that. No evidence yet. As I was saying, your name popped up, and I felt this incredible urge to make an attempt to contact you for reasons that will be clear upon further reading. Regardless, as I always write, more often than usual, or more often than I should, I truly hope this letter finds you incredibly happy and exceptionally healthy. Anything more would certainly be a plus. See, again, I would never write and now. That'd be an ampersand. So that proves that this has been tampered with. Anyway. Oh, I got my first snort out of the way. Good. Alright. Again, for nostalgia's sake here, I thought I'd throw back the time machine and create another one of my letters that will probably evolve into a small novel. It's been eons since I've written one, and for the time being, I have a few minutes. Free time in order to put pencil to pad, pixels to mouse pad, so please bear with me. Oh, lordy. As I mentioned, I've been relatively forced to address some
Situations lately, namely, concentrating on keeping poop from migrating upward from the bowels of Pentwater's archaic sewer system. My apologies. I really do seem intent on detailing the subject matter, but it's really not the focal point of my letter. You see, the 6-inch service lines are over 75 years old, and some are still made of clay. Toink. Sorry, that was my fecal point of the letter. Toink. Oh my God. Sorry again, those toinks were my brain exploding. It tends to do that when I get off track. I'll tie it together, I know I do. Although I'd love to hear what took you from Dallas to Utah, a state that I thought I was going to buy at one point in time, and what the past 20 years have been for you. Okay, so there we get a timeline since the last time I threw myself in her path of planes landing at DFW. However, this writing effort was a rather impulsive gesture on my part. Besides, I'm at the disadvantage of looking blankly at a piece of paper on a computer screen without much dialogue being communicated here. As a result, I'll continue on with my endeavors to kill some time here. Oh my gosh. If it gets this bad, I'm going to pull the plug on this one. I'm trying to think of the last disastrous time I saw you, but that has to do with one of the reasons why I'm writing. Way back when, I was probably still at grad school at Michigan, and I flew down for a quick trip to Dallas. I regret that jaunt to this very day, as it has haunted me when I think of what kind of creep I must have been in your eyes. Oh, however, before I even pretend to deal with that awkward debacle, here are some of the positive things that have transpired since then. Oh my God. Finally got my MSc degree and escaped Ann Arbor with a backpack, $32, and my Seeger and Springsteen albums, except Born in the USA. Oh, my Volkswagen GTI. See, I think I'm just building up where I don't have that beat-up car. I'm responsible. We both agreed that Springsteen kind of started going down when Born in the... So I'm like, kind of, remember that crazy guy? Well, I've kind of turned it around, because I write Volkswagen instead of VW. Oh, God. I actually quit engineering for several months after graduation to pursue a vocation in writing and illustrating, but somehow the instantaneous, lucrative offers from publishers in Hollywood just didn't get to me in time. So I took a job with CTL, Construction Technology Laboratories, and to answer the obvious question, yes, think of the company as 132 scientists, engineers, and technicians, many with white lab coats, running around the country inspecting dams, bridges, high-rises, etc. for damage and deterioration. See? Building myself up. I'm mature. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. I don't know. I'm trying to... I didn't go through graduation. And I don't think now's a good time. But... no. I'll do that later. It's not that big a deal. My folks, as I proceed to tell the story, my folks kind of came into town unannounced saying, well, we're here for your graduation. And that was when I was in the middle of all those courses that nothing was settled. I technically dropped out. I mean, I checked out. Let's just use the correct terms. I checked out from grad school. And then all of a sudden, folks say, hey, we're going to the we've got tickets to the graduation. And we'll be there this week. And they're like, So that's when I had to throw together all the BS and went through the ceremonies. I had nothing. I had no diploma. It was still up in the air because Mike, see, I'm getting all hyped up. The graduation ceremony I went to was at the big house, Michigan Stadium, and Mike, oh, for God's sake, 60 Minutes, Mike. Oh, for God's sake. I'll think of it as soon as I turn this off. Oh, God's having his fun. He does all this, but Mike Wallace. Oh, Mike Wallace was the speaker at the ceremony I went to that had to have been 88, or no, 87. It had to have been 87 because the two front rows of students turned their back to him because of some controversy that was going on at the time. I'll stick in the little thing, but that was the ceremony I had to scramble and go to. I went, but no one checked my ID. No one checked anything. I got a cap and gown for whatever reason, and I've got the cap to show it, but... So, immediately I'm lying to this incredible person. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is horrible. But I'm telling her that I'm mature. I've got it all together. Oh. Being that I wore the corporate suit while at Marathon Oil, more like corduroys, knit ties, and tennis shoes, but that's another story, I was the field guy who jumped into every opportunity when other engineers would rather reside behind their HP 51C calculating some esoteric engineering problem. I had a blast. From 88 to 2001, and I climbed on more than 200 structures doing investigations and evaluations in 43 of the contiguous states, Mexico and Puerto Rico. I was safe from travels to Korea and Kuwait only because I was informed their pizza primarily contained globs of foreign meat material and camel feet. But I had so much fun, it was ridiculous. Oh... Am I pouring it on with how, because I probably complained about Marathon and Jake, and she thought, well, here's this goofball that doesn't grow up, and I'm now saying, oh, I'm not that corporate guy that you thought I might have been and wasn't, and oh, it gets worse. I didn't realize, but see, so I got to stick this in. Okay, just remember that, okay, get out of here. So much fun, it was ridiculous. Thank you, Elaine Bennett. Hey, here's a fun fact. Midlife crisis wife number 1, I won't use names. Her personal hero, with no exaggeration, was Elaine Bennett. She thought Elaine was the bee's knees. No, she did. That was her idol. That she treated Elaine, Jane treated Elaine, what the hell, like a real person. And that was her role model. And when you start talking about how her, Elaine Bennett's feelings were with pro-choice and stuff, oh, the picture gets so much clearer. Anyway, so I threw in ridiculous. Alright, we'll get through this, don't worry. I was actually being paid to do stuff that would have landed me in jail in any other profession. Spray painting building facades in deficient areas, closing down streets in downtown Chicago because of potential failure. Ooh, I forgot about that. Lower Wacker Drive. Ho! Made the news, and it turned out to be, why is that bridge why is that deck floating? Because the whole support rotted out and broke. Anyway, whole nother story. I actually got on local news several times. And then, Idaho Falls, we got on local TV doing a bridge inspection. Being on camera, not trying to crack up with a video recorder 16 inches away from my head, with a reporter asking really dumb questions, is this bridge safe, was quite unwieldy in my primitive TV years. I told the other engineer to start running off the bridge and start screaming, she's going to blow! He chickened out as expected. That's a true story. Out in Idaho Falls, the, oh, for crying out loud, Liberty Street Bridge. We'll wing to it. We've got to do it. by the way, before we get there, I know Liberty Street Bridge is wrong, but it'll come to me. All right. So there should only be one bridge in town. It was a architecturally declared bridge in town, and they had just redone it, and it was falling apart. Broadway Street Bridge. Yep, right downtown. So this was the middle of January. Oh, such a cool... They had the microbreweries here, and oh my God. So I had to fly out. I was in Seattle for a temporary 2.5-year assignment. Oh, I haven't even talked about that. We're not going to, but oh yeah. God gave me a 2.5-year reprieve out in Seattle. Oh gosh, I haven't even talked about that. Anyway, I was out there, got the call, and we came out with another engineering firm. This was a big to-do because it shut down Main Street, tore everything up, and it was a historic bridge. And I'll get side shots later. But when they came, and it finally got finished, and as soon as they opened it back up, the whole thing started cracking up. So they shut all this down, and we flew in, and the other engineer and I'll have to think, I probably think of it, but we showed up, and we checked into the hotel, and it's about 10 o'clock. I flip on the news, and the reporter's standing on the bridge going, and tomorrow engineers are flying out from Seattle to do their investigation to figure out what's going on with the bridge. So I called up Bill Chahansky. He was my manager, and the other engineer at 10:15 were thinking like, what should we do? And the obvious was just don't talk to anyone, do what you have to do. But they had this whole area shut down, and there were 2 news kits trucks there. Oh my God. So I had pictures, but that's where I learned to photo document, where each segment I would have a 10-foot grid and just chalk everything out and then take a picture and then step back, chalk everything out, because it was raining and then sleeting and then a snowstorm came while we were doing this. So I had this technique that just came out of nowhere. Oh, it came out beautiful because we didn't have to map anything. We just took photos. And I know I've got illustrations that I'll show of that deck cracking. But, oh, this was great. But we're on our hands and knees chalking out all the cracks. And then the news guys sticking a camera in our face going, so, what do you think? And I was like, just didn't. But I've got, they showed the clip on the news. I mean, it was only about 20 seconds that got used. But on the news, you can just see this big old grin on my face, when the guy was just like, we can't use any of this footage. This guy's just laughing when I got this camera in his face. So, what made the news is when the guy's standing back about 20 feet and you can see me on looks like I'm throwing up or something on the deck. But you can see this big old grin on my face, that, trying to hide and duck my head with a hard hat that kept falling off. Oh, God, that was funny. But I turned to the other engineer. He goes, while they're doing the live thing, let's just start running away saying, it's going to go! Oh, man, that was a great job. Look at the view. Oh, did he give me a good job? Bill Chahansky, too. Oh, my God, that was great. Had the microbrewery, and it turned out, well, I forgot how it turned out. I'll have to think about it. But anyway, we got to go back. The other thing about the grad school, I don't think I ever found this, but this was 4 Americans out of 110 in the program, and the nicest way I could do it was just put a dot over the vowel. And I think a couple got clipped off, but Oh, for crying out loud. I'll get back to it. But that's the thing about it. There are only 4 Americans out of 110. And I even forget where we are. Oh, there's Carl. There's Carl. Look at Foo. Lots of Foos. Lots of Poes. I won't say the others because, never mind. Anyway, getting back. So, yeah, I was trying to paint that I've got it all together. I've got it all together, baby. All right, some of the more noteworthy projects I got involved with were the Amtrak bridge collapse in Mobile, the Waco Branch Davidian fiasco. Ironically, the engineering aspect was determining the degree of tank damage and how that comprised the egress for the inhabitants, and a catastrophic explosion in San Francisco's water system. Actually climbed through 3.6 miles of high-pressure pipe directly over the San Andreas Fault. I imagine that sounds kind of dumb, but it was kind of the most fascinating project I ever worked on. Oh, yeah. In fact, now that I mention it, I was working out of Seattle's branch office on and off for 2.5 years, including 5 to 6 month stints, and was actually considered moving out there, but the company Prez decided to close down the operation and completely lose CTL's presence in the Pacific Northwest. Those battles with the Prez trying to keep that office open were probably my personal doom. That and the 2 a.m. phone mail messages telling him that I thought he was being a complete jerk. He finally got fired in '99, but the damage was done and CTL was never the same. Oh, now let's take a pause for many, 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 many reasons, because I'm getting near the end of this one. But first of all, why am I telling her this stuff? What is... I know. I knew the guy. Oh, God. This is me saying I'm not that wimpy little guy who gets pushed around. Not that I ever really was, but in my head I was. And in my head, I want her to know that I take firm action when righteous prevails. And, oh, God. But, yeah, the president, he started, oh my God, see, the backlog for that is when Jane and I got married, she felt it was unfair for me to have this great job, and I felt bad, so as soon as we have the church wedding, let's go to Madison. I'll start a new job, we'll be there together, and we can start out, at the same starting line. I won't have this great job that I love that you're telling me everyone takes advantage of me and you need, oh God. So I quit CTL after the church wedding and took this job in Milwaukee, or Madison, and was commuting back and forth, get up at 3 in the morning. That's a recurring theme for me. I know that, but I'm just recollecting it. And making this trip, she will not go to Madison by herself or even with me to look for an apartment. She's too distraught with the wedding and all the blah, 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 and so she can't do anything. So I'm up there driving at 3 in the morning to get there by the front, start, it was 8 o'clock. Then after work, I'd have to stay up there, find an apartment, which was a good, didn't have to drive back. But I went to a hotel and drank. Oh my God, that was bad. So long story short I ended up quitting after 3 weeks because, one, they were starting to suspect because I went on a job, I passed out. Yeah, it was because of dehydration, but because of alcohol the day before or the night before. But call it like it is. I blanked out, passed out, and then I showed up late because I couldn't find my car. So they I would have never told this story, but I'm already into it. yeah, they were kind of like, are you okay? And it's like, we want you to take a physical. And the guy's tapping on my liver going, so how are things? And it was kind of like funk, funk. Oh, God, that was 91. But the funnier, weirder thing there is the job, they said that they didn't have the work they thought they were going to. Things were on the stall. They were looking at me weird. I didn't want anything to do with this job. Jane made no effort to help finding an apartment. And I called up Hans. I didn't even tell Jane. I called up Hans and said, is my chair still warm? And he goes, yeah, but not for long. We're hiring someone this afternoon. So if you want it, come back. And I said, okay, but I need a couple days off. He goes, no, you come back tomorrow morning. That's the deal. So that was it. I left work that day. I left a note. I just had no fanfare. Left a note saying not working out for either of us. And see ya. As it turned out, and we'll leave on this note, the guy that hired me, the place was called Osmos, that turned out to be the guy Ray was dating at the time I got hired in 91. So wrap that up in your little, is there just a coincidence with everything this guy is saying, or what? Anyway, I'll be back. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy.